American steelworkers can outcompete as long as they have fair competition. But for too long, the Chinese government has poured state money into Chinese steel companies, pushing them to make so much steel as much as possible, subsidized by the Chinese government. Because Chinese steel companies produce a lot more steel than China needs, it ends up dumping extra steel into the global markets at unfairly low prices. And the prices are unfairly low because China's steel companies don't need to worry about making a profit because the Chinese government has subsidized them so heavily. They're not competing, they're cheating, And we've seen the damage here in America. You know, back in the early 2000s, the Chinese steel began flooding the market in steel towns all across Pennsylvania and Ohio, who were hit very hard. Between those years, 2000 and 2010, more than 14,000 steel workers in Pennsylvania and Ohio lost their jobs. 14,000. Let me ask you, we're going to let that happen again?
No!
I promise you, and I'm not going to let that happen again. Look, right now, my U.S. trade representative is investigating trade practices by the Chinese government regarding steel and aluminum. If that investigation confirms these anti-competitive trade practices, then I'm calling on her to consider tripling the tariff rates for both steel imports and aluminum imports from China. But we know that Chinese steel and aluminum are being imported in America through Mexico that avoids the tariff. And just yesterday, I had a delegation down in Mexico meeting with AMLO, the Mexican president, to address this issue. Mexico and the United States are going to work together to solve it, I promise you. I promise you. My administration is also taking a real hard look at the Chinese government's industrial practices when it comes to global shipbuilding, which is critical to our economy. We depend on a fleet of commercial shipping vessels to carry American products around the world. Shipbuilding is critical to our national security, including the strength of the United States Navy. That's why my administration takes it very seriously that U.S. steelworkers, along with 4 other unions, have asked us to investigate whether the Chinese government is using anti-competitive practice to artificially lower prices in the shipbuilding industry. We've heard you. And if the Chinese government is doing that, and the unfair taxes undermine free and fair trade competition in the shipping industry, I will take action. That investigation is going on. Taken together, these are strategic and targeted actions that are going to protect American workers and ensure fair competition. Meanwhile, my predecessor and the MAGA Republicans want across-the-board tariffs on all imports from all countries that could badly hurt American consumers. It's estimated it would cost the average American family an average of $1,500 a year if they succeeded in doing that. Trump simply doesn't get it. For years, I've heard many of my Republicans and even Democratic friends say that China's on the rise and America has been falling behind. You may have noticed the last 2 years I've been the only one disagreeing with that. I've always believed we've got it all wrong. America is rising. We have the best economy in the world, which we do. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down, the lowest level in over a decade, and we're standing up against Chinese government unfair economic practice and industrial overcapacity. And we are the strongest economy in the world. In addition, and by the way, China's got more. I always say to my colleagues when I meet other world leaders, I say, would you trade places with China? Would you trade places with their problems? They've got a population that is more people in retirement than working. They're not importing any. They're not bringing. They're xenophobic. Nobody coming in. They've got real problems. I'm not looking for a fight with China. I'm looking for competition, but fair competition. In addition, we're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnerships and our alliances in the Pacific with India, Australia, South Korea, the Philippines, and other Pacific Island nations. I made sure that we have the most advanced technologies that we've developed and invented, and they can't be sent to China or because they'll undermine our national security. When I spoke with Xi Jinping, he said, why? I said, because you're using them for all the wrong reasons, so you're not going to get those advanced computer chips. Finally, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. The bottom line is I want fair competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the economic competition of the 21st century against China or anyone else because we're investing in America and American workers again, finally.
Yeah.
You know, there's a law back in the 30s that passed about whether unions could exist. there's a provision that very few presidents ever paid attention to. If a president has sent money from the Congress to do something for the public, he must use American products and must use American workers, unless you couldn't find them. Well, guess what? A lot of them didn't find them, except me. Oh, I mean it. Not a joke. Everything we build with an American product and with American workers, period. And it doesn't violate any trade agreement. Thanks to my bipartisan infrastructure law, we announced over 51,000 new infrastructure projects all across America so far. We're just getting started, including roads, bridges, ports, airports, clean water systems, high-speed, affordable internet, all across America. You may remember my predecessor promised infrastructure week after week after week for 4 years and never built a damn thing. Nothing. No, I'm serious. Nothing. And by the way, these projects are going to be using American-made material like American steel, American concrete, creating good paying American jobs, union jobs. Why? As I said, I've already said it, but since the 30s, the law said we could do that. And that's exactly what I'm doing. We're buying American. We are selling American. It's all about America. We buy America, and past administration, including my predecessor, failed to uphold that Buy America provision. Not anymore. That's over. American products and American workers. Look, folks, you know, I signed the Inflation Reduction Act, the most significant law taking on climate change ever anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. We didn't get anybody to vote for it other than my Democratic friends, okay? Well, guess what? That includes billions of dollars in investments in industries of the future, including clean American steel. It's clean because the way we produce it here emits much less carbon than steel made in China. Last month, my administration announced the largest investment ever in clean manufacturing in American history, in all American history. That included up to $1.5 billion in 6 clean steel projects across America. $1.5 billion. It's going to create and support thousands of union jobs, including at Butler Works and Lindora, over in Lindora, Pennsylvania. My predecessor and his Republican friends in Congress want to repeal that law. That would cut those jobs, and it would cut the jobs to repeal the law. I'm serious. I know when I say these things, you wonder, could they possibly be that stupid? I shouldn't say it that way. But I'm serious. Think about it. Just check it out. That's what they want to do, but that's not all.